Welcome back to Melodic Memories of Lights Monarch. I'm Casey, and today I wanted to talk about, first and foremost, Hayley Williams' new single drop. I know I mentioned it in the last episode about her releasing a new album. That definitely wasn't the case. I was very much wrong, and I guess my first initial take of it was kind of wrong as well. So let me clear up a little bit of what I was saying. Hayley Williams finally on Friday dropped all the songs on streaming services, so they are finally accessible to everyone that either couldn't find the code or didn't find the code in time before she removed them. Because on Monday last week, she ended up posting them all, and on her website rather, behind a password for those that don't know. And on Friday, she ended up releasing them all on streaming, as on the Wednesday prior, she removed them from her website and just left a message saying thanks for listening. So now they're much more easily accessible, and I think when I was listening to it, I was focusing a lot on the love aspect of it. It is most definitely Hayley Williams, though, and knowing Hayley Williams, she doesn't really sing about love without also singing about the heartbreak that comes along with it. And I didn't actually know, or if I did know, maybe I blocked it out, but I guess her and Taylor York, the Paramore guitarist, I believe he is, they are no longer together. And I think maybe if I forgot about it, it was just for the simple fact that I didn't want to admit that love doesn't exist, because they were pretty much made for each other. They grew up together, and a lot of these songs, it reflects the connection that they had and how it just didn't work, and how someone like Love Me Different, that's a song on the album, or out of the singles rather, because it's not yet an album, but that one in particular just comes straight to mind with her saying like someone's gonna love me different. Yeah, it won't be the same as you, but someone's gonna love me different. Who she's talking about, we don't know, but assuming it was about her last relationship, Taylor York, it's sad to say that they're not together. And now that I've come to terms with remembering that, this album has a lot more context. And honestly, I keep on referring to it as an album because that's kind of what it is, or at least what it will be, as she posted on her Instagram story talking about the idea of the fans, you guys, me included, anyone that loves Hayley Williams, with the idea of creating playlists with all the songs in it in the order that you would listen to it. So whatever your preferred listening order as an album would be for all 17 songs, you can essentially make a playlist on whatever streaming service you use and tag her in it. Send it to her in a DM, tag her in it on your story or posts, whatever you can do. And she said that she will actually go out of her way and check them all out and kind of have like, it's almost like a little contest. Not that anyone's necessarily going to be the winner, but it's going to give her a sense to connect with the fans and be like, you know, this is the order that you guys wanted, and this is the order it feels right for a physical release. As she also mentioned in the same videos, that initially she was just writing to write. There was no necessarily bigger idea of having a body of work, no master plan of making it into an album. But since there's so many songs, it obviously kind of screams to be an album, and a lot of fans, and myself included, wanted an album. And if it's going to be called Ego, cool. If it's going to be called something else, that's fine as well. I was just under the impression originally that track list, when she posted it on her website, I initially thought that was it. I thought that was the track list, and I was unfortunately mistaken. So I just wanted to kind of clear that up a little bit and say, if you guys have an order, a proper order in your mind of the track list of how it should be, make that playlist, send it to Hayley Williams, and get some recognition. Because honestly, I think that's insane she's doing it. She's an absolute legend. And to be able to have any sort of contact with her would just be insane. I know she's human. I'm not trying to say she's a god or anything of the sorts, but because I know she's literally written songs with Paramore, and I think on her solo stuff as well, about not being anything special in terms of that, like just human too. I believe After Laughter has a song about that exact concept, but it would just be insane because she is a legend, and that can never be denied. Very, very happy myself with the way that these singles have turned out. I've had them on repeat the entire weekend, and I have not gotten tired of them one bit. I have to say I'm very, very happy with everything that she was able to release and everything she wrote about. Again, it's that writing that she can only do, the lyrics that she only knows, the way that she's able to pull that raw emotion while still being able to connect in a way that feels true and pure to who she is and how she would actually talk. Like, it feels like you're in the room with her and she's venting. And I don't know if that's for everybody, granted, but personally, I adore it. I really, really love her solo stuff. As much as I love Paramore, that's never going to change. They are one of my favorite bands of all time, of course. But Hayley Williams, her solo stuff, it always just hits in a different way. In a more, I don't even know how to word it, but in a much different way from what Paramore does. Which is, I mean, makes sense why she does it under her solo career rather than Paramore. But it also raises the question just the littlest bit. What's going to happen to Paramore? Zac Farro, he ended up releasing his own solo album, and now Hayley Williams released a new solo album, or at least soon to be a solo album in a physical release, which will be awesome. I cannot wait till that's announced. And up for pre-orders, I'll be getting that instantly, but it makes me wonder if Paramore has a future now that they're independent, and if Hayley and Taylor are broken up and they're, healing right now, they're taking time apart, obviously. I'm curious to see if they're going to come back together. I think odds are that they will, just because of how much they've been through so far. Usually when they've already been through so much, they should have broken up a long time ago. And since they haven't, it makes me think that they're kind of just going to stick through it. They're just going to give each other time and hopefully come back. I hope that's not me being just hopeful and unrealistic by any means, but just got to wait and see. Though, for the actual releases on Spotify in particular, I found out that Glum is officially the most streamed single of the newly released 17 tracks with 508,600 streams. It's a huge standout as most of the songs collected a bit over 100,000 streams in the first 24 hours. And it's wild to think that that one was the one that caught on. It is the one with some auto-tune in it, and she kind of changes her voice in it. It's a really good one. Lyrically, it's one of the standouts on the album, or on the singles, mind you. But I would have to say my current favorite at this moment is bouncing between two, and that would be Brotherly Hate. I really can't get enough of that one. It's just so intoxicating. It reminds me a lot of the cover she did for Color Me In. Very similar kind of vibe, very similar kind of sound. And the other one I'd have to say would be Whim. Those two are at the top of my list, and Glum honestly wouldn't be very far behind. I totally understand why it is as high up as it is in terms of streaming, though I do believe that the other songs deserve just as much love. So if anyone out there is listening to this and listening to Hayley Williams as well, please stream all the songs, or at least if you don't like them, let me know. @LightsMonarch on all socials. Hit me up. Tell me which one's your favorite, which ones you hate. I would love to know. Start the conversation. Also, this whole weekend that I was being able to do things, I'm still dealing with a sickness, and you guys can probably hear it in my voice, and I apologize in advance, though I couldn't not record. I have to let out my thoughts. I have to talk about things that happened because every single week is like a whirlwind of news and different adventures, different things that I do. Like on the weekend, I was able to go and pick up a bunch of movies. Now, these movies are ones that I grew up with and ones also that I've always wanted to see. One that I actually watched today just before recording this was All-Star Superman, a very good animated movie. Comic book is probably a bit better because the animation's a little bit on the cheaper side or budgetary side, if you will. But I ended up getting the Batman Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and Part 2, the storyline that ended up actually influencing Batman v Superman and Ben Affleck's Batman, both of which are my favorites. So had to know the original. I've always wanted to see them, and the fact that this store, Toys, they were doing a movie discount, and because they're closing, unfortunately, but I was able to get some extra movies, and that was two of them. Then Superman and Doomsday, All-Star Superman, Justice League, The Flashpoint Paradox, Throne of Atlantis, Justice League movie, Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, 500 Days of Summer, Fantastic Four was still sealed. The original, like 2005 Fantastic Four on Blu-ray, you can't go wrong. And then the reason I'm even talking about this, because I know none of this is music based, but I ended up finding amongst all these movies, Taylor Swift World Tour Live, Speak Now. Speak Now, 2011, and it was still sealed. It has a Blu-ray of the live concert and then a CD of the live show. I think that's insane. I don't know when I'll get around to watching it or getting around to actually listening to it in terms of the CD. I might just throw the CD in my car, to be honest, just to hear it as I'm going to and from work. But honestly, that was a wicked find. I wasn't even looking for it. It just so happened to catch my eye, and I was like, what is this? The fact it was still sealed blows my mind. 2011, Taylor Swift, especially with all of the crazy, like, clout Taylor Swift got. Like, she was huge for a bit there a couple of years ago. Even just last year, and not even to say that she's not huge anymore. Please don't take that the wrong way. I personally love Taylor Swift. It's just I know she's not as prominent in the scene right now because she hasn't been doing much. She's been taking time for herself, which I'm so happy she did. I remember after the Eras Tour ended there in Vancouver, I was hopeful that she would finally take some time to herself and spend some time with Travis, spend some time with family, like do the things that she couldn't do because she was touring for 2 years straight. Like, I'm very happy she's finally taking the time off that she deserves. And personally, the fact that I was able to find this and the fact that it was only like $5 when it should be like around 40 to 50 bucks from what I've found on eBay and such, it's just crazy. A crazy, wicked find. Very happy as a Swiftie. Made me smile. But to talk on a band that is actually much different than Taylor Swift, but is my favorite band, that would be Black Veil Brides. Now, I wanted to touch on their Warped Tour set that they did last week. I know I mentioned it already in the last episode because that's when I watched it originally on YouTube, the live stream that they did. But now, a little bit of the news kind of dropped on the fact why they weren't able to play in the end at the end of the show. Very unfortunate to think as well, because In the End is one of their most popular songs. It is the most popular Black Veil song, just regardless of how you look at it. It is the one that shot them into the stratosphere more than any of their other songs have, and it is still the one that I think most people think of when they think of Black Veil Brides. And to be honest, the fact that these fans that went to the Long Beach show in California, the fact that they weren't able to hear that song, which might have been a song that they were going to hear specifically, which is the reason, some people go to see a band to hear one song. And for those people that went to go see Black Veil for that one song, it's just so unfortunate that they cut the set because it found out later that it wasn't the band's fault at all. It just time went by way too fast. Like Jake on his live stream even said they looked up, seen the clock, it was like 9:30, and then got the thing in his headset saying, yo, we're getting cut, get off stage. And it was already like 10. Like they played for the full 40 minutes or whatever it was. And it's just unfortunate that they couldn't finish because there was nobody after them. They were the closers of that night. And the fact that they couldn't finish, it honestly kind of made me mad when I found that out. Because, like, what the fuck? Warped Tour. What the fuck? Like, I don't understand why. I know that some places have curfews for sound. I know that some places might get charged or fined for, again, noise. But with the fact that tickets are being priced at what they're being priced instead of like the old days of a ticket costing like $30 or whatever it was, like, I'm sure that even if there were fines, you guys could pay for them. Not even the band, but I'm talking about Warped Tour, Kevin Lyman. Why did you guys cut Black Veil? Why did you cut their set short? I get it if it was an artist that was earlier in the day, to make sure everything goes smoothly and things don't get way off course time-wise. But when they are the last set of the night, last band to play, and only have one song, that song being their biggest song they've ever released. What was the thought process on that? I would really love to know, because it doesn't make any sense to me and is very upsetting as a Black Veil fan. But on the brighter side of things, they did actually end up releasing Hallelujah, the full song itself, the full live version of the song, on YouTube. You can go watch it. It is the the song rather, ripped straight from their set from Long Beach. I am hopeful that they will release it on streaming. I know they've never really done that before, aside from the acoustic version of like Scarlet Cross, because that was from their, I believe, their acoustic tour, or is their first ever release of it on YouTube, because I know they did both. But I just hope that eventually we get to see Hallelujah come on streaming, a live version specifically from Long Beach, because I personally think that version is killer. It sounds just like it's off record, but even better, even more just like wicked. And I really want to be able to have that on my playlist, because it would just make me happy as a fan. But again, Black Veil Brides, they killed it at the Warped Tour show. If you were able to see it live, send me videos, please. And if you weren't able to see it live but got to catch the live stream like I did, let me know what you thought of it, because I personally think it's one of their best live performances that they have ever done, which is wild to say with them being like that far into their career, like 16 years, I believe. So also, I wanted to touch on Chris Bierzak, the boy himself, Andy's dad. Shout out to you, man. Thank you so much for listening. If you're even listening to this today, I hope you're having a good one. But he did comment on my last episode saying, "Thank you for this. I always enjoy your takes on BVB. P.S. I've heard more than half the songs that will be on the album. It's not only going to be their heaviest with the most screaming, it's their most ambitious instrumentally. The album will not be called Outcasts, but that's all I can say." So, being that he said that, again, shout out to Chris. So happy to have you as a listener amongst everyone else. But to know that, the little tidbit you were able to give, that's insane. Like, to know that it's going to be the heaviest it's going to be is already extremely hype. But to know that they're also experimenting instrumentally and doing literally everything that they ever wanted to do in a Black Veil song, in terms of a full-length album as well. I don't even have words. I can ramble on as much as I want to, but it's going to sound like word vomit and just nonsense, so I won't. But I'm very, very excited for this. And Black Veil Brides, I don't mean to overhype it. I don't mean to, make it bigger than it actually is, but you guys have never disappointed me. And I always go into your albums with a complete brand new mindset, just whatever you're willing to make, whatever you have prepared for us as fans, all of it. I've always been ready for it and just taking it as it is. And the fact that Hallelujah surprised me as much as it had, and the staying power that Bleeders has had, just honestly blows my mind to know that we're going to get more of like that, but even better, to an extent. I mean, granted, music is mostly up to the people that are listening to it. They're able to, determine whether or not a song is one that they love. But I love Black Veil, and I don't think I'm going to be disappointed. I can't speak for everyone, of course, but wicked to know that, and thank you so much for sharing, because when I was able to see that, I know I was late in seeing it, but I seen it, and it made my day. Also, Tyler Joseph, to kind of transition to 21 Pilots, as their album Breach is getting closer alongside the tour that they're doing for it as well. Very, very excited for both. But Tyler Joseph posted a photo of Josh and his drum set, yes, Josh Dunn, and his drum set on Tyler's Instagram story in a parking garage. No context really given, but it makes me wonder, are we getting a new single and new music video soon? Or is this all going to be waiting until the album comes out? I don't know. Odds are they're going to be releasing a new music video at some point, judging on that photo. But I wonder if it's going to be the next single, because it's been a while. It's actually been the longest break between singles that 21 Pilots has ever done in terms of an album release, like leading up to an album release. So it's interesting to see that we haven't heard anything from them yet. Again, I personally am okay with waiting the entire time until the album drops itself, but I know some people are more impatient than me. And just as the fan base is, everyone's different, but the fan base wants more, and I'm sure that Tyler and Josh will deliver, especially since the album is literally, I think, a month away. It's insane to think that it's right around the corner, essentially. Also, something that ended up happening this week, Pac-Man World 2 Repack and SpongeBob SquarePants Titans of the Tide. Both are video games for PS5, Switch, Switch 2, I believe Xbox and Steam, pretty much everything, and they're coming out this year. They were both announced this week, and they're coming out later this year. Can't remember the exact release dates for both of them, but they're both coming out in the fall. And Pac-Man World 2, for those that don't know, that is one of the video games for me that kind of shaped me and my tastes in video games, definitely my love for Pac-Man. That game was what did it. And I can't even really put it into words how much excitement I got out of seeing that they announced this. Because I knew it was a matter of time after the original Pac-Man World got its remake or repack, if you will. And now that we're finally getting Pac-Man World 2, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. This is the one that matters. Literally, it's so exciting as a fan and as someone that grew up with this game as a kid. I can't wait for it. And the new SpongeBob game is from the same guys that made the rehydrated version of Battle for Bikini Bottom and the brand new Cosmic Shake, or at least the newest at this current moment. And it's exciting to see that they're coming back with even more SpongeBob because it looks like they have finally refined their craft in making a game that looks far better than anything Cosmic Shake became. So it's very exciting. Some people actually referred to it as SpongeBob SquarePants Dream Drop Distance because you switch between SpongeBob and Patrick. I thought as a Kingdom Hearts fan that was hilarious. And honestly, so fitting for me. That kind of SpongeBob game mixed with Kingdom Hearts. I know it's not going to have anything to do with it, but the fan base, thank you for the laugh. Also, just to touch on real quick, are some birthdays. Being Fall Out Boy, Grand Theft Autumn, Where Is Your Boy, turned 22. Also, Mine by Taylor Swift turned 15. And Bad Omens released Finding God Before God Finds Me 6 years ago. Just some standout birthdays or anniversaries that I ended up seeing. I'm sure there's been more that I actually missed, but those were ones that caught my eye and I had to write them down because I didn't want to forget. And it's crazy to think that Fall Out Boy, one of their first singles is 22. That is wild. I myself am only 26, so crazy to think that it's that old already. And Mine by Taylor Swift turned 15. I remember sitting in my school bus on the way to school, having that play on the radio countless times. And it is one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs because of that. Very fond memories of singing to it and just I remember listening to that on the bus all the time because it was on the radio. And then the next one was Mean. And that one's going to be turning 15. God, it must be in a couple months, I guess. Or towards the end of the year because I think Mine was the very first single from that album, Speak Now. Just wild to see that it turned 15. And again, Bad Omens, Finding God Before God Finds Me, turning 6. That album's my favorite of theirs. And specifically the deluxe is my favorite, but the base album itself is also just as good, granted, and I can't believe it's 6. I know I didn't find it until just maybe the year that Death of Peace of Mind came out. So not too long ago. I wasn't there 6 years ago when it dropped originally, but it's crazy to think that it is that old because just again goes to show that time never ever stops. On top of all of that, Spider-Man Brand New Day teases a new costume. Brand new costume for Spider-Man, and I had to touch on this because I am a very big Spider-Man fan amongst all the superheroes, but Spider-Man holds a very close place in my heart, as when I was a really little kid, I gotta say probably 3 or 4, Very, very small. When I was able to fit in those swing sets where you actually like put the kid in it and it's kind of like a bucket for the kid to sit in, their legs go through it. Usually teenagers get stuck in them kind of thing. Those swing sets. I remember being put in those and swinging, being pushed by my dad back and forth, swinging on the swing set as one does. And him singing me the Spider-Man theme song from the original cartoon. Like Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. That, like, the whole thing he would sing to me while swinging me on the swing set. Just one of the key core memories that I hold and will probably hold for the rest of my days. And it's the reason why Spider-Man is one of my favorite superheroes. Thank you, Dad, once again. But they are finally teasing the new Spider-Man movie as Spider-Man Day just recently passed. And it's been actual set photos of Tom Holland in the suit, and I gotta say, the suit looks killer. It looks exactly like something that the suit should have looked like in the first one. Very akin to the comic books and very comic accurate. Very happy with it, and I'm curious to see what this movie is going to be, as they've already confirmed that Hulk is going to be in it alongside the Punisher and Scorpion as the bad guy. Very curious, not exactly sure where it will go, but from the looks of things, from the few photos we've seen, it looks like it's going to be a killer film, aesthetically at least. And to keep it on the same track with superheroes, Superman, the new Superman movie by James Gunn, will likely be the highest grossing comic book movie of 2025, which is the very first time for DC since 2008, when the MCU first started with Iron Man. Isn't that nuts to think? Like 2008. That is the last time that they were able to have a movie that grossed higher than Marvel. That is almost, a decade? No, more than a decade. That would be 2018. It's almost been 20 years. It has almost been 20 years. That in itself, to me personally, just feels wild. Because I remember when DC was like king, and obviously they fell really hard. And the fact that none of their movies ever were able to reach the heights of any Marvel film for almost 20 years. Wild. Congrats, James Gunn. Congrats, DC, for finally, getting in the spotlight and taking that spotlight away from Marvel. It is a little bit unfortunate that Fantastic Four isn't getting more love. I personally think it is one of the best Fantastic Four movies that have released, as much as I do love the original 2005 one, and even The Rise of the Silver Surfer. I have very big nostalgia for both of those, as I remember very fond memories of watching them again with my dad, and just growing up with those versions of Fantastic Four, whether they were very comic book accurate or not. It's just crazy to think that Superman is going to be able to outshine them. Makes me happy as a Superman fan, for sure. And honestly, the fact that both have been doing well, at the very least, makes me happy as a superhero fan. And I wanted to touch on Hideo Kojima, the legend himself. He is the man behind Metal Gear Solid and more recently Death Stranding. He is a superhero buff. He usually talks about songs here and there as well, or albums here and there, like he was very into the Sleep Token stuff. And he actually ended up posting about Superman, saying, since I've been on a world tour, I hadn't had the chance to watch it, but this morning I finally got to see James Gunn's Superman. It was good. It was neither dark nor stylish, cool, or even super. The perspective of the audience, the distance and elevation, is different from the Superman we used to look up into the sky to. This film gently observes the human being Clark Kent and Superman as one, and approaches him from the same human perspective. It's a heartwarming human film. The movie itself wasn't punk, but punk rocker by Teddy Bears, with vocals by our own Iggy Pop played during the credits. That part was pure punk, and it was amazing. And he went to go on to say, just days later, about Fantastic Four, giving it some praise, saying, as a first step to reboot the series, it's truly fantastic. It felt nostalgic, like watching Bewitched when I was a kid, or at times it felt like a live-action version of The Incredibles with family as its central theme. Once I found out it was directed by the same person who did WandaVision, it all made sense. Post-COVID hero films seem to be shifting away from dark and gritty tones towards a more retro, futuristic, colorful, and nostalgic direction. One thing the film does well is how it opens with a TV show that efficiently summarizes the Fantastic Four's feats, role, and current standing. If it had taken the time to carefully depict how they became superhuman from the very start, it would have come off as over-explanatory and slow-paced. Superman skipped that part too. Here the plot is designed so that the viewers are drawn in from the point where they gain a new family member, marking the beginning of turmoil and crisis. Again, as a first step to reboot the series, it's truly fantastic. And I had to share that because I really liked his take on it. I can't disagree with him at all. I personally think for both of them, true. As much as I do love Zack Snyder's Superman and everything that he was able to create with those characters, this new DCU with Superman as the very first movie of it, I know Creature Commandos technically, but that was one of the TV shows animated at that. Still, very excited and intrigued to know where this is going because they really captured the heart and essence of Superman. Again, better than any movie has ever been able to do for Superman itself. A lot of movies tend to forget that. They try to make him more out of this world or just, an alien. And I know that he is. He is those things. Of course he is. He's Superman. But that's the part of it. The man part. The Clark Kent. The actual things that were laid in within him from his parents, from his Earth parents. The humanity that he was able to learn from not only his Earth parents, but also the world itself in this universe that he was able to call home. This world, this Earth that he was able to call home. So personally, I was very happy with both movies, and I just really liked Hideo Kojima, all of his thoughts towards it all, and I wanted to share them here. And also on top of it, keeping in on the movie side, Casper. Anyone remember Casper, the Friendly Ghost? Oh my God, I remember watching that movie. The last time I watched it was actually a couple of years ago. It was right when I got back on Halloween from Vegas, when I went to see the When We Were Young Fest and met Crystal and got to see Devil perform live for the first time and got to see MCR and Paramore for the first time amongst many other bands. First time literally going on a trip on my own. Regardless though, when I got back I watched Casper, and it turns out that it's turning 30 on October 3rd and is being re-released in theaters. That made me shook. I can't believe it's that old. I know it makes sense that it's that old, but wild to think that it is that old because Casper, what a movie. I know it's unfortunately made by Harvey Weinstein. Not a good dude. Really shitty to know that they are re-releasing it, and if he gets any of that money, that's not great at all by any means. But it is a movie from my childhood, and it's one that I personally adore, regardless of how bad it actually is. It's a kid's movie. It's just awesome and nostalgic, and I had to share, because Halloween is around the corner, and if I get a chance to go see that in theaters, I'm probably going to take it. Now, also to say on getting back on track onto music things, of course, according to Luminate's mid-year music report, rock is now among the fastest growing genres in the United States, outpacing country music, which originally country music was on the incline. It seemed that every single artist was trying to go the country route. Now it makes me really curious, are artists going to start going the hard rock or metal route now that everything is going towards that? These bands being Falling in Reverse, Sleep Token, even Black Veil Brides, a lot of these rock artists, they're getting more notice than they ever have in their whole entire career. And even towards the old school rock artists. I mean, obviously, with the passing of Ozzy, rest in peace, Prince of Darkness, once again. With him having his funeral just passed and the loss that we all faced with losing him, it's crazy to think that rock music is on the incline and is something that people are interested in again, because personally rock and roll is my favorite genre. Obviously, that's no surprise to people listening, but I'm excited for what music's going to hold in the next few years. I hope it isn't oversaturation of nonsense and unartistic things. I really hope it brings out the best of everyone. Also, Alec Benjamin. I love this soft little guy, soft little man. He is posting old demos on YouTube. I haven't checked them out yet myself, but I am intrigued and very curious to hear them. Honestly, more old Alec Benjamin while he's working on his upcoming album. I will not ever complain about that. So it's very exciting. I wanted to share because, again, Alec Benjamin, I love his music. I know it's not for everyone. He is very soft, especially in the pop scene, and he's just very, emotional. Just a soft little guy, okay? And I adore his stuff. And I'm very excited to hear all of these demos. I hope eventually he puts them on streaming services for us to have a way to have them, in our playlists. All the same, though. Waterparks, they ended up releasing their music video for Red Guitar. And to touch on some new releases, Trinkets by Ashaniko is out August 12th. Aries and Breakin's Sleepwalker released this week. And Neck Deep self-titled deluxe edition vinyl coming out on September 10th alongside Halsey Badlands Decade Edition Anthology vinyl, which comes out August 29th. And this Friday, MGK's Americana comes out. And if you were there last week listening to the new releases, you probably already know, but Lonely God by Fit for a King is out now. Go give it some stream, go give it some love, alongside all of Hayley Williams' singles that she was able to release. Copacetic by Rivals is also out, alongside Black Heart by Melrose Avenue and Echo. There may be more, of course, but that's all that's been on my radar as I've been having Hayley Williams on repeat, apart from the occasional edition of Hallelujah or The Contract. Again, sorry for my voice. Hopefully it isn't too terrible to listen to. It is slowly going away, so I'm going to call it here and say thank you so much for listening, and thank you for discovering the music within.